Hi, I'm Jen. This is Fate 40 and Beyond, and I'm the owner of Soulful Existence, where I do tarot card readings, astrology, mediumship, and energy cleansings for private clients one on one. But decided to do this podcast because I think that so many women have just natural, learned, experienced wisdom to share with other people. And I find that it comes up all the time in tarot card readings. So we're going to sit down, we're going to have a tarot card reading and just kind of let everyone else in to experience the wisdom with us. Today I have May, and we met, I don't know, you found me online a lot sooner than I met you, which is really awesome and I love that. But as soon as we started chatting, I'm I find more friends in my clients than I do clients who are friends, so it's nice. But go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is May. I am 44 years old. I am a single mom. I live on the West Coast. I have kids. My oldest is 24. My youngest is 6. And then one in the middle is 19. I, gosh, the easiest way to describe myself, there's so many different things. And honestly, a lot of it has just come about in the last year because as I stated, our default to introduce ourselves is like a description of the things around us.
Yeah.
I am not, I don't have any, what is the word? Spiritual guidance
Okay.
outside of what I've just started pursuing recently. But my definition for most of my life has been mom, daughter, friend,
Yeah.
employee. And I'm kind of excited at this point to take a step back and start learning more about me. Once your kids get to be a certain age and they don't
Yep.
need you as much, you realize that you're not just mom. You're
Right.
actually a person yourself and
Yes.
deserve to have the opportunity to know yourself. So that's kind of what stood out to me when I found you on Facebook, and
I
I
love
thought it was
that.
a suggestion, and I thought, wow, this is somebody who kind of gets me, and a lot of similarities, a lot of the
Yeah.
background,
A
and I was
lot.
yeah, a lot of similarities, and I'm just in this journey of trying to find myself. I know a lot of it's cliche, but it's not. It's actually real, and I
Yeah.
think women and in general find themselves at a point in their life where it's like, who am I truly? I've been mom, I've been
Right.
partner, I've been this, and now I'm kind of excited to see who I am.
Yes, I totally get that. I think I went through that. Well, I've gone through it twice, which sounds really weird. My youngest graduated high school, gosh, like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't even know anymore. And I was living alone at the time, not in a relationship, and mourned like the whole empty nest thing. And then Kyle and I got back together, and his daughter was still in the house. Then my daughter moved back in, and then his daughter moved out, and then my daughter moved out. And so I've had to do it all over again, I feel like,
You
because,
got practice rounds.
right. Well, like even just considering that there's multiple people to make dinner for is totally different than just he and I, or just making dinner for myself.
Mhm.
And how I spend time at home or how I relax, it looks totally different when there's someone here versus when there's not. And by someone I mean kids,
Yeah.
because Kyle does his own thing. We coexist very well together because we're both so busy with our own stuff all the time. There's not really like pressure to entertain each other when we're home.
Mhm.
We do that also, but it's still a lot of me trying to figure out how to express myself in this world. I think
Mhm.
that's what you're getting at. It's just like
Yeah,
figuring
absolutely.
out how to show up. So I am really, the first conversation you and I had was over Facebook Messenger, and your words immediately like just warmed my heart. And I don't even remember exactly what you said, but just something about like, you don't believe in the title of influencer, but more of like a
Mhm.
inspirationer, you know,
Yeah.
and and I love that because I have such a hard time. I'm not an influencer. Like I love to
Mhm.
create content, but truly love to inspire people. And so
Mhm.
that immediately I was like, okay, this is one of my tribe. This is someone I can keep close. So
Mhm.
I'm really thrilled. I like every time we talk, I just get to know you more and more. And it's a joy. I love it. So let's get started on the reading. Do you have, I don't say a specific topic, but I really like to see what pops up. Are you okay with that?
I am down for anything.
Okay.
There's a lot going on, and it's not bad or good. It's just, it's plentiful. I'll
Yeah.
say
Well,
that.
that's sometimes good. Sometimes we just like the boring. Let's see. I had already shuffled a few times, but let me just do. It's like I feel like the cards settle. They don't. They don't. All right. Oh, I forgot. So I normally don't read reverse, and somehow over a reading in like the last 2 weeks, they flip flopped. But it's okay because
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I'll start to read reverse if that's what the universe really wants. So let's see what pops up. I feel like this might actually be immediately right off the bat. There feels like really hard push of energy and then like stop. Just something just it feels like it's trying to walk through mud and you're just kind of like stuck where you're at. Does
Mm.
that resonate right off the bat?
There are certain behaviors I am more aware of about myself. It has to do with work, but I think obviously there's a root to it that I
Right.
haven't really either acknowledged, understood. But it is a big part of it is I used to call it procrastination, right? I'm just putting things off
Right.
and I'll do it later. But then when later comes, so from a work perspective, I paint myself into a corner.
Right.
And then as soon as I do that and I'm under, a time constraint, I just knock it out and barrel through.
Right.
So
I can
probably
relate. Yeah.
probably not the healthiest way to do things,
Right.
but it
Well,
it's worked for me for a while.
these cards, like the first 4 cards are all pentacles. Pentacles do talk about not only our resources that we currently have, but how we get our resources too. So how do we make money? How do we
Mm.
provide for ourselves? And so it's very much work, career oriented. And
Mhm.
I can see almost exactly where you're talking about. Like it feels like there's very slow moving energy, I'm like, okay, maybe I feel stuck, but it's more of like that, like you know the word trudging through something, that's how that feels. And then the very next card is one where it's almost, I don't want to say soul crushing. That's not quite right. But just of this like having high hopes and then just feeling like so compounded and not really being able to perform in your best and really just feeling stuck. Another one, I do kind of feel though that you have you have a lot more control over this than what you might want people to believe. It feels like, oh no, my boss just throws a lot on me, but then no, 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 it's me. I'm the
Mhm.
problem, like that feeling of,
100,
yeah.
100%.
But then let's see, what is this? That's crazy. All of these are pentacles so far. You do have an employer, like you're not self-employed, right?
Mhm, yeah, no, I work
Okay.
for a company, yeah.
And I don't feel like it's necessarily micromanaging, like, but I do feel like it's almost like someone has noted, okay, if I really want it done, I have to give a short deadline, just kind of like I have to make it feel urgent in
Mhm.
order to make it happen faster. I do that to myself sometimes. And for me, like that's always been how I've performed well. Is
Yeah.
I wait and wait, wait, and then oh, that 30-minute thing, I can knock that out into 10 minutes,
Mhm. Absolutely. What does that tell us, though, about ourselves? Like, we know that we can do it in a short amount of time, right? If we focus. And
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if, like, and I used to say it as a joke, maybe I just, I have ADD. I'm easily distracted by other things. And I find myself at times making observations like, hey, now would be a really good time for me to work on this.
Yeah.
And then I just sit there and I go, nah, I'm going to wait for chaos. I'd rather do the chaos.
So, did you
Why?
see my post earlier this week about, "Oh, I did the dishes and no one asked me to?"
Yes.
Right. Because there's no dopamine behind that, like, it's such
Mhm.
a boring task.
It
I
is.
had something completely exciting and fun to work on, and I had my laptop in my hand. I looked at the sink and I was like, "Nope." I 'cause I know Kyle's gonna get home. That's the downside of living with someone else, is
Mhm.
that I can't leave the boring stuff until it really, really has to be done. He's the type of person that he wants just it looks nice and it feels better when it's clean, like, "Let's just clean it." And so I knew he was gonna be home and I knew he was gonna, "Hey, can you do the dishes?" Or I put the dishes in the sink last night, or I started the dishwasher last night. Can you unload it?
Mhm.
And I just knew it was gonna be better and easier and quieter if I just did it. And it
Mhm.
really took everything in me to do it before it was like not a deadline, but before someone else mentioned it or before it became an issue. And I know for me, like, I have been diagnosed ADHD, and that is a big well, between the procrastination and the defiance of, like, someone told me to do it, and now I don't want to. That's
Exactly. Yeah. It
that's
takes the fun
not
out of it. This
right.
is the only thing you have going for yourself to talk yourself into it, and the minute somebody says to do it, you're like, now I'm just reactive, right? This is my
I've told
moment
Kyle
being
that so
proactive.
many times. Yeah,
Yes.
like, I've told him I was gonna do it, but you just said to do it, so now I'm not gonna do it. Give me a minute and I'll get back to it.
That happens a lot.
And I do think that some of it is part of, different wiring the brain, but I think a lot of it is also learned response too. Like especially I grew up as an oldest daughter,
Mhm.
and I feel like that role alone was enough to if someone tells me to do something, I really don't want to do it because for so long I had to do it.
Mhm.
Like growing up, there was not a choice. I could not tell someone,
Mhm.
wait, I was just about to get to that. Like, let me do it on my own.
Mhm.
And so now when someone does that, it's like immediately I just want to go to fight mode. So yeah, I totally get that. I do feel though that in your situation with work or whatever it might be, considering the other people involved. So considering that if I do this now, it would be beneficial to so and so,
Mhm.
and not making it about you anymore, but like how can I provide an easier mm, task for someone else. And I think that kind of goes back to like the whole dishes scenario. I knew Kyle was going to get home. He had already been on the road driving home from work for however long, coming into a nice clean house or a nice clean sink, anyways,
Mhm.
eased that coming home feeling, you
Yeah.
know? Does that make sense for you though? Like if there's especially at work, if there's something you're doing, does it
Mhm.
make things easier for someone else if it's done a little earlier?
You know, I don't think my kids are gonna really care one way or the other, you know what I mean? But it is better for me. So,
Yeah.
and that's what I've kind of had that struggle in getting to is that I didn't do things for me. I did things for my kids.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
did things for my work. I did things for my family. I didn't do anything for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is at my haphazard, make my bed situation, but my sponsor told me a year ago, make your bed every day. And I didn't get around to doing it. And I didn't get around to doing it. And and probably for the last 2 months, I have consistently, done it because it looks nice. And who's
Right.
gonna benefit from it? Just me.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming to give myself a little bit of credit to do something for myself.
I really
That's
love that you brought that up because it is true, especially as
Mhm.
moms, wives, oldest daughters, whatever it is. There's so much that we deprive ourselves from
Mhm.
in order to keep everyone else comfortable. So even though well, that makes sense then. If
Mhm.
that comes up in the reading to have you go, "Ah, this is what it means for me." It
Mhm.
makes total sense. I always like to tell people, and this has come up several times over the years, where we talk about like the love languages and use that in the context of like me and someone else. So my love languages are very much very much gifts, quality time,
Mhm.
and what was it? Physical touch. whereas Kyle loves words of affirmation and action, whatever the service. Well, I
Mhm,
don't remember what exactly it's called. But, like, how often do we use those for ourselves? You
mhm,
know? And a lot of times, for me, that looks like using the expensive lotion that I would otherwise save for a special
mhm,
occasion or the quality time alone
mhm,
rather than filling the silence with noise. That to me is how I show love to myself and
mhm.
how I give back to myself. And
Right.
so I think it's important to identify those, not necessarily for a relationship, but because that's the first thing to go when I'm self-depreciating too. If
Yeah.
I don't think I'm worthy, then I
Mhm,
stop doing that stuff.
mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I talked to my psychiatrist a couple of months ago, and she's like, "So how are you doing?" I said, "I'm feeling better." She goes, "Okay, like, what are you recognizing that makes you think that?" So I started doing my skincare routine again. That's
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I needed to love myself and moisturize my face, you know? Like, that should, at a certain point, just kinda be habit, but that's the first thing to
Mhm.
go when I don't feel well.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely.
I
I
love that.
don't I don't do think like, there are a lot of things that, a lot of, my friends of mine, like, they get their nails done regularly. I'm like, If I get a pedicure once a year, like, that's the extent of it, right?"
Yeah.
1 year I'll do, like, a head spa treatment, the next year I'll do a pedicure, but some of these people do it consistently.
Right,
Who does it benefit? And what I have to get over is to stop justifying that I deserve this, right? That the money that I make is valued and in investing in myself, and I think and unfortunately, a lot of that it comes from some trauma,
right.
from parental trauma type of scenarios of just not feeling worthy and
Yeah.
having to truly, again, as my children are leaving me, because they're becoming grown-ups and becoming
Right.
dependent and not needing me as much, who does need me? I need me,
Yes.
right? And that is the entire, like, the most recent 3 years has been for me, has been wow, who truly am I? How am I going to transition this? Because I don't want to be somebody that collects Stanley cups, goes to the coffee drive-through every day, gets their nails done on this specific day every month. I don't want to be that person, but I
Right.
think there's so much more I can learn about myself, about my beliefs, about
Yeah.
my trajectory.
Yeah.
That's so much more than those little things.
I think even my content creation has been part of that journey.
Mhm.
I don't really gain a whole lot from it. I made let's just say a few dozen dollars this
Mhm.
last month,
Yeah.
and that was the highest I've earned from my content creation on Facebook specifically. I've had other months where I've earned a little bit more on TikTok, but it's not about the fame or the notoriety or having a huge cult-like following, like, that's not why I do it. For me, it's more of the self-expression
Mhm.
and the ability to show up authentically when I so much wanna hide and hole away and mm, not show up in the world. And when you talk about, like, kind of parental I wanna say, like, that subconscious talk in our heads, it comes from our early childhood, experiences.
Mhm.
And for a long time, it was be quiet, don't be seen. It's not safe to be expressive or whatever that might be. And so allowing myself to do that. It's still scary at times. Like I had a reel with like hundreds of really mean comments recently.
Mm.
And it's terrifying to put myself out there that it could happen again.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm growing every time I face that, every time I do it in spite of all the mean people, you know?
Now, yeah, I would I don't wanna say I would never do it, but I admire people who do take that risk and that initiative, and the thing that stands out to me the most is, there's always going to be that opportunity for people to, leave you a mean comment, right?
Oh, for sure.
How much time does it take for that person to leave you a mean comment versus how much of what you're putting out there is benefiting somebody else, right?
Yes.
you may never know the extent that that happens,
Right.
right? For me to just, it's like a snide comment, right? Or when you're driving and you just,
Right.
say something in whatever because of, what is the word? You're just angry at other drivers and you say
Right.
something, right? It's a blip of a moment, right?
Right.
It doesn't last in your mind, but taking the initiative and the risk to put yourself out there has so much more impact than what those little blips
Oh, for
should
sure.
ever mean to you, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's the other thing is like, I don't know. I feel like at some point it's very vain to think that I can do something to change the world.
Mm,
But who's to say I can't? You
mhm,
know,
right?
like and it doesn't have to be the entire world. It could be my little world that
Mhm,
am surrounding myself with. And that thought actually popped up in my head this morning. There's someone in real life who their experience in life is very small, and I keep trying to expand outward. And I let that person bother me. And I'm like, but why?
mhm,
I'm the one that keeps trying to make an impact of some sort. And
mhm,
I guess that's, part of that self discovery too of like, what am I capable of?
mhm,
And how can my voice help others? I think whether it's on a large scale or a small scale, yeah, at least we're doing something, you
mhm,
know?
right?
And I think there's a lot of people, and I would imagine, I hate that we're not local to each other
Mhm,
because I know that would be really awesome. But I would imagine in your circle of your sphere of influence, like you really do have an impact because that's just,
mhm.
I mean, you've had an impact on me and you're all the way across the country. So, there's something there that you are also changing people around you. It doesn't, I'm not a good in person. Like I do much better
Yeah.
online. But then there's people who like hardly post and they are the people who make someone feel special when they're around them, you know? And I think I have a feeling that's who you are. That's just my gut, my gut feeling.
It's funny you say that. So, something we haven't really gotten into yet is, our similarities with recovery.
Right.
And I have been in recovery for a considerable amount of time. And I have spent a lot of that time not engaging with a fellowship and just
Right.
kind of being distracted again by being mom. And I've been back and active in my recovery more so the last 3 years. And I feel like I find ways to talk down the amount of time I have because I don't feel that the quality or the process in which I've gone through is necessarily the right and defined path for
Right.
most people. And I got thrown with a comment from a gal friend of mine so for context, I have 28 years clean and sober, and this gal has 37 years. And she mentioned to me the other day, she goes, I'm going to put a bug in for this convention that we have going on later this year. I really want you to be a speaker.
Oh,
I
wow.
think your way of approaching this is worthy of being discussed, of being celebrated because it's
Yeah.
not like everybody else's,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work, right?
Right.
And I've got told that like I have something, people again recognize 28 years. Oh, you have everything. You understand it all. No, no, I sure don't. I sure have a lot of mess. I'm still a full mess. But that's what gives me something to work towards, right?
Right.
And she sees that. She sees where I'm at and still sees the value in what I have to contribute to the level that she thinks I need to be a part of this. Now, whether I am or not, we will see, but at least I'll have enough time to prepare. But man, that was kind of the biggest inspiration that somebody has given to about
Yeah.
me in a really long time, and I'm still floored by it. The
Well, and
thought
it's
that
funny because
yeah,
even when you started talking about it right now and you did downplay it, I
yeah,
thought, "Oh my god, like, I don't think I could have done it without a program when I
mhm,
still had my kids at home." Like, that's admirable. You
mhm,
stuck with it because you knew it was right for you. Like, in my head, as you were talking, all of these thoughts are popping up, and then you said exactly what
mhm.
I would hope someone else would recognize, and they did.
Yeah,
And it's not not everyone can be away from a 12-step program or some sort
Mhm.
of support system and stay
Mhm.
sober. But it
Exactly.
just shows that you wanted it that bad. You saw how much
Yeah.
it had improved your situation, your life, and
Mhm.
all of the good stuff it brought you that it was worth sticking with,
Mhm.
and I think ultimately that's what the goal is across any recovery program is creating a life that you don't necessarily wanna run away from anymore, you
Yeah,
know? And I think you
absolutely.
did that.
Mhm.
And I love how even, like, a fellowship in
Mhm.
recovery is coming back into your life at a later time, and it sounds like it's something that you need right now to have that
Oh, yeah.
community, and so it's
Absolutely.
awesome that you've gotten back involved and didn't let that absence keep you away.
Yeah, a big part of it was how it started, right? You go in, you put your, nose to the grindstone, you listen to
Yeah,
what everybody says, and you let that become, if anything, it's an identity that you adopt until you're
right.
truly, until you truly live it every day.
Yep.
And that's what I did starting at the age of 16. And then I didn't have my daughter until I was 20. So there was a formidable amount of time during some critical
Yeah,
development and maturity years, right? That I learned a really solid foundation. And that carried me because then I went 20 years raising kids to, now she's leaving me. And I go, well, what the heck am I supposed to do now? Right. And
yeah,
starting to have that doubt of who I am, like, if I'm not her mom, right? If my
yeah.
next kid doesn't need me, like, what am I supposed to do day to day? And that was the reason why I went, okay, you know what to do, May. You've
Yeah,
always known what to do. You know what's there for you. You know how it can impact your life. And it has been the foundation of why you've ended up where you're at. And now you need to go back and
yeah.
start working on you. That is what the last 3 years has been, and it's been
That's incredible.
amazing and wonderful, and I love it.
That makes me feel very hopeful that if ever in a situation where I feel like there's not a path in front of me, that I will seek out that path,
Mhm,
and I think that's ultimately what you did. I joked the other night, and it was actually in a meeting, and I said, it's if anything ever happened to Kyle, I know that I would have a community of people, whether it's his friends in the program or my friends in the program or our friends, but I would have so many people around me in one
mhm.
phone call. That's all it
Yeah,
would take.
yep.
And he's he sat next to me in that meeting, and then his share was next, and he goes, "I guess I better check my life insurance." But no, but, we joke about, just, uh, if something were to happen to him, I would feel lost, like, I wouldn't know what to do. But, to have the mind about yourself to go out and seek that out
Mhm,
without a community already existing,
mhm,
that shows the strength in your own recovery, like,
mhm.
I don't know how else to say it, like, to
Yeah,
me, it's mind-boggling because I'm still at a place in my own recovery where I would use that as an excuse to go back out,
mhm,
or I think I would. I can't
mhm,
say I would because I don't know,
mhm.
but it would be a very easy excuse,
Yeah,
you know? And
absolutely.
so I love to hear that because it is inspirational.
Mhm.
It is. You
Yeah.
have a lot to offer whether
It's
you see it or not.
I think if anything, it speaks for me is that the foundation that I got
Yeah.
during those years was enough for me to hang on to, and it was always there, right? And over the
Yeah.
years, every now and then I would pop in, check out a local meeting, kinda just get my cup filled up just enough to be able to keep going, and that's what I did. I just didn't prioritize it.
Right.
And then that led into, really relocated from California further north and ended a relationship. And all throughout it, that the worry about using again was just never there.
That's
It
awesome.
was it was also part of it was probably spite. I
Yeah.
think, you know,
I always say that.
and you know
Yeah.
what? That's okay for a minute. It can be spite. That can be the
Yeah.
reason. But it just keeps going, and now I'm anchored down now, and there's no way that this fellowship that I have is gonna let me, detract off, and
That's
I
awesome.
have gone up to, 3 to 4 meetings a week is pretty standard for me,
Yeah.
and that's important for other people to see because, You get over 10 years, people start thinking, "Oh, I'm good. It's fine."
Right.
Don't get complacent. When you
Yep.
know that there's so much more you could be doing, there's so much more, to be done. There's stuff in front of you that you don't even know exists yet until you get there. And that's what
100%.
I've been watching with some of my friends, with myself, right? What's my goal? This should never be an end goal because once you hit there, you see more. More
Right.
becomes apparent. And I love that. It's never ending. I don't want it to
Mm,
end.
I love that you said that because there was another episode where I was talking about like constantly moving the goalposts
Yes.
and being disappointed in doing so, feeling like you're never reaching your goal, but
Mhm.
because you're moving the goalposts. But the perspective that you have on it is really refreshing because you get to the top of the mountain only to find out there's more mountain to climb,
Mhm.
and it's not a bad thing. That just means your view keeps getting better and better all the way up.
Right.
And that's how
Right.
I see that. I think it's important. I made a joke, I think it was yesterday on Facebook of like ADHD hack, make your goals like so outrageous that you can't get bored
Yes.
reaching them. And
Yes.
I think that's what I've done with this content creation thing with the podcast. Like, I won't be happy until it has a decent sized following, and
Right.
it's gonna take some work to do that.
Mhm.
And it's just I'm I'm terrified for the day that it happens because then I'll be like, all right, well, goal reached, I'm done."
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
just kinda
no,
like,
you won't.
"But I can't right, no."
Mhm.
I truly enjoy, the whole process of this, except editing, that's the worst part. But the conversations and the people and to
Mhm.
already have, I have like 8 episodes out now,
Mhm.
to have people say, like, "That really has made an impact on me already," and
Mhm.
that's huge. So, no, it's not gonna get boring, but hopefully by that time, I'll have someone that I can, like, pay to edit. That's my goal.
I feel you there. I am not editing anything, like, even editing a picture, I don't even I don't
Oh, see,
even
I
bother with
enjoy
that.
doing that. Small videos are fine. My biggest issue with the podcast is I say, like, you know, and, just way too often,
Mhm.
and so it takes a lot to get those all out and make everyone sound intelligent,
'Kay.
but
I'm doing my
it's
best. I'm doing my best.
no, you are doing great. It's usually me that's the most. Let's get back to the reading and see what else
Sure.
pops up because so we're talking about, how doing stuff for yourself can be very meaningful, and I think
Mhm.
that also goes along with internal self-talk, and I like how the magician popped up already, and we were talking about goals, so, like, finding things that already how do I word this? It's almost like having things come into your life easier. I don't wanna say, like, just manifesting things and it just shows up because that's not quite what it feels like, but being able to identify what it is you want, go after it, and if it changes, it changes, is kind of how it feels. It's coming through as almost like what does that feel like? It kind of feels like popcorn popping, like attention being scattered everywhere. And I
Hmm.
think that's okay for where you're at right now. Like it feels like
Mhm.
that's normal. Like that would be exciting and fun. There's a girl on TikTok that I've been watching recently, and I can't remember her name. I want to say it's Serena something. And it's like all of her videos are so random, where she does just like these really outrageous crafts. She made like paper chain curtains the other day, and it's literally hundreds and thousands of strips
Wow.
of paper. But like the most outrageous ideas that no one's really gonna do, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Let's do this today." And I know from a content creator perspective, like that behind the scenes is probably just nuts,
Oh,
but she
yeah.
makes it look so easy. But that's kind of the feeling of this magician card of like, "You wanna do this thing? Okay, let's do this thing. You wanna do this? Let's do that." And it feels very I don't wanna say scattered either because it's almost like everything is very fulfilling. It's just constantly changing. Does
Mhm.
that make sense for you?
It's like I mean, you can actually use popcorn. It's like I like caramel popcorn, but I also like white cheddar popcorn, and then I like and I like this kind of popcorn and that kind of popcorn, and I just wanna make sure that I taste everything.
Yeah, that's how this feels. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
there's so many options out there. I don't want to lose out on any of them.
Exactly.
My daughters actually said something to me the other day that really actually, so we filmed a whole episode of this podcast together. It didn't come out. And some of the stuff they said that was very touching. And I wish I still had it. But s- one of the questions was they asked me, gosh, I can't even remember what it was, but it was something along the lines of like my biggest fear of being held back because of the things I'm afraid of. And they said, that's weird. Like, our perspective of you is that you just go out and do things. Like, the idea pops in your head, you go and make it happen. A
Mhm.
lot like this card is feeling for me. And I thought, well, that's strange because I have to like mentally struggle with myself back and forth for a year before I go do it. But I don't say anything until I'm ready to go do it.
Mhm.
So I guess doing stuff just for the sake of experiencing it is how this is feeling. Whether it's like you said, you want to taste all the flavors. And
Yes.
that feels like if someone gave you the opportunity to try something that you never considered trying before, you're
Mhm.
like, sure, why not?
That's interesting you put it that way. Something I have always said for as long as I can remember is if I won the lottery, I would want to try any and every job possible
Huh,
for 1 week at a time,
just try it.
just to know what it's like. You really wanna go collect trash? Yeah, because I wanna see what that's like,
Huh,
right? What kind of things
interesting.
could I learn? Could I understand better if I just took the time and just took a week to go try something I never would try otherwise, right?
Right.
And and of course, obviously, I have to maintain a normal job because it pays the bills.
You're right.
There would be so much freedom with the ability to just do any job, right? I know about a lot of jobs, but there's a lot of jobs that I've never heard of, didn't even know
Sure.
existed that I could just tap into for just a little bit, just so I can gain just a feel for that, for the person that does that, an appreciation for how they do it, how it impacts my life in the bigger scheme of things, and all those little touch points. I love the idea of just being able to touch as many things as possible, taste
Yeah.
as many things as possible, experience, okay, probably not skydiving, but there are plenty of other things that don't require me to jump out of an airplane to appreciate other people around me and what they contribute
You
or
need to
what.
go to the nearest fire station and ask if you can ride along for a day.
Oh, that stressed me out, but maybe,
It
maybe.
was fun. I loved it. Because I was a firefighter for several years, and it was probably one of the most enjoyable jobs I've ever had. Of course, it
Mm,
had its really, really downsides,
yeah.
but fire station life is something else. And that was one job where, like, literally everyone needs to come and ride along for a day because
Yeah.
you start to appreciate all the little things that the
Mhm.
outside person doesn't understand. So
Yeah.
that's but that right off the bat or a police officer, like, you can
Mhm.
usually do a ride along with
Yeah.
them, and, those are probably the most misunderstood jobs, I would say.
Mhm.
People, "Oh, you just sit around and wait for the tones to drop, or you just wait for a
Yeah.
call to come in." Yeah, that's not how it goes, you
Yeah.
know?
That's true, that's true. You
But
don't know until you have that opportunity to
right.
sit in it, right?
I love
Same thing
that.
with goals, you don't know like, you may goal yourself to get to a Mercedes, right? That's it for
Right.
you. You're gonna be so excited, and then that day comes where you get the Mercedes and you realize, "Oh, but what about a Maserati?" Right? You didn't go from where you were to wanting a Maserati, you wanted a Mercedes, and now that you have a
Yes.
Mercedes, now you want a Maserati, right? And it just you don't realize it until you're in that moment. So
Right.
those are the things that I strive for is to appreciate getting someplace, but also looking at the fact that there's going to be more options once I'm there. I just don't know it. I can't put it
Yeah.
together yet. But when I get
So
there, I'm so excited.
some of my favorite videos on TikTok are like, what are things that rich people don't realize are very specific to their
Mhm,
world? And
mhm,
it's fun just to listen to them. Some of them, yeah, okay, I understand that. Like,
mhm,
I see that. And others, I'm like, it's just so out there. Someone, can't even think of what some of them are, but I'm trying to think of something outrageous. Someone who goes to buy peanut butter from because it's special peanut butter, or,
Yeah.
importing something in because it's only available in one place. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, would I do that? I don't know. But
Mhm.
if I had the opportunity and I had been there to try it, I mean, there are some places and restaurants that I've tried that I'm like, man, if I could just get that right now and have someone go fly and get it for me. So
Mhm.
maybe I would,
Right.
but the concept of that for someone who even is just like the average everyday person is
Yeah.
so, so out there.
It's so wild. It's like, no, that's not on my list of things to do. Like that, I wanna travel. I don't want somebody to bring me something just because I have that craving on a
Right.
whim. Like that's just not where your brain goes. But
But then you think from their perspective, they've already traveled all the places.
mhm,
If
true,
they've seen all the
right?
places,
And this is
sometimes
what's
home is
important.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what speaks to them. This is they really want that caviar from wherever, right? And I'm like, "You know what? You do you, right?
Right.
You have the means and you've gotten to that place and that's what you want, go for it."
Yeah. I that's a whole different episode. But yeah, I could never what's the word I'm looking for? I'm all for people who wanna make the money and go after the things they want.
Mm.
Like, go for it, do it, because it's someone's gonna have to make that money.
Mhm.
Do something good with it, that would be a nice bonus. Like, I'm not big on the, like, eat the rich type of mentality because I know how much work it takes to get there for most
People
people.
yeah, people work hard to get
Right.
where they're at. I worked hard to get where I'm at, you know?
Right.
And, one of the most common sayings I've heard in the rooms and in recovery is, "You once wished for what you have now."
Yeah.
Right? And you have to remember that. You have to humble yourself and go, "That's right." There was a point where, I was on state assistance, I had roommates,
Yep.
I had subsidized childcare, right? And now what do? I have kids, work, I don't,
Mhm.
I overwork, but that's my own fault for my procrastination tendencies. But I work, I make a living and it meets my needs, right?
Yeah.
It's not excessive, but it meets my needs. And that means so much from somebody who struggled, as a
Yeah.
single mom, a young mom, and built up to where I am now,
Yep.
and providing for my kids without anybody else's help because, it's just me. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, I need to be reminded of that very often
Mhm,
because it's so easy to find the flaws in where I'm at right now,
mhm,
but there's been huge improvements in
mm,
my life over time, and
right?
so I I needed to hear that very much today. Let's see what else the cards have. That's funny. There's this card that came up, and it's more so about like forward movement, keep going. And the the words that popped in my head as soon as I looked at it were stop and smell the roses.
Mm,
Okay. And we're talking about, going and doing and trying all the things
mhm,
and also looking at where you've come, like how far you've come. And yes, we can continue to keep changing the goalposts, keep pushing them out more and more, but also, are we enjoying where we're at right now?
mhm,
I think that's equally as important. And probably, like I said, I forget sometimes where I've come from and don't stop to think
mhm,
that where I'm at is okay to just kind of be for a minute.
mhm.
Uh,
I love
let's
where I'm at, I didn't think I would, feel this way at this age, right? And I
Right.
we go back and we think about our parents at this age and it's like, "Oh, they were so old," and the reality is they probably felt very much like we do now. Like, I don't feel as old as, I think I may seem just based on a number or based
Yeah.
on how much experience I have, but I have never been so excited for now and for
Yeah.
tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like, getting to that point where you hit the 39 to 40, I had a child at 38. That was whoa, that was
Yeah.
crazy. That was insane. Um, and so then turning 40 didn't seem like such a big deal because, I mean, I put myself in this weird situation where, I have a 6-year-old now, but I feel good. I
Yeah.
like where I'm at. What's the next one? 40 or 50 is right on the horizon. And I don't feel like I thought I would feel at
Right.
44, almost 45.
Mm.
And looking towards 50, and I'm like, like, is this where I imagine myself? No, but it feels really good.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly surprised that I don't feel old.
Yes, 100%. My cousin just turned 36 and she goes, "Oh, this is 36." And she posted a little Instagram story. And for a split second, I was like, I'm not 4 years older than her. Nope, I'm nearly 10 years older than her. Like, I'm about to be 46 this year. And
Yep.
so I'm like, in my mind, I am still 20 something years old.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
don't I know a lot of that is because I drank and I didn't really grow up during that time,
Mhm. Yeah.
but also it's nice to be able to feel like I still have a lot of time in front of me
Oh,
and a
yeah.
lot of time to do and explore. I don't feel like I'm running out of time, really. Like, there's a lot of people that get to 40 or 50 and like, "Oh my god, last half of life," or whatever, and I'm like, "But I don't feel like that."
Mhm.
I don't know if it's over time, like, our perception of that 40 to 50 range has changed.
Mhm.
There's so much more that we are capable of doing, and people are taking better care of themselves and
Mm.
really starting to learn that, like, life is really just starting for us,
Yeah.
at this age.
I think
There's so much that I can do now.
maybe that's what it used to be. It used to be the midlife crisis,
Yeah.
right? And what is it now? Is it a midlife awakening? Right? Because that's
Ooh.
what that's how I feel right now. Like,
Yeah.
I love where I'm at. I love the things that are happening around me. Again, I'm not perfect. I clearly must have some form of ADD. I'm a procrastinator. My house is not perfectly clean all the time. The 6-year-old runs around in his underwear most of the time. But I realize maybe those things aren't the priority. They aren't what's important. What's important is, what have I come in to learn about myself? You know,
Right.
what 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 do I have ahead of me that I can continue learning, that I still want, that I still have a desire to get on a garbage truck and just hang out for a week and see what it's like? Where does that come from?
Right.
Right? It's not a crisis. It's a crisis if you don't see a path forward,
Yeah.
right?
I wonder how much of that is related to being in recovery and
Mm.
having parts of our life that, like, I never thought I was gonna live past 34.
Mhm.
For some reason, I felt like I was gonna around that time, and I woke up that day, I think it was, like, the day I turned 34, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm still here. Now what?" And then it was a few more years before I got sober.
Mhm.
And it was really kind of like, okay, now, like, I don't have anything stopping me. I'm not stuck in this stupid drunken haze. What can I go do? What can I
Mhm.
accomplish? And now it's like there's nothing holding me back other
Right.
than my own fear, my own, well, sometimes my wallet. But
Yeah.
there's ways around that. There's other things that I can do that don't cost money and I can just experience. And I think a lot of that is because of my alcoholism for so long. I
Mhm.
was kind of bound to just this tiny
It is.
existence.
It's a chained situation. You don't grow from anything. You don't see beyond. You you live in that moment of just wanting to use, just wanting to get through that moment, feeling the best you can, probably because there's other things that are impeding those good feelings
Yeah.
in your life. And the only way you've learned to cope with that is this unhealthy way. And I'm forever grateful for a mother who just decided that she didn't want to see her daughter do this. And she put me through a system and a process that for a 16-year-old doesn't normally work,
True.
period. When I look back, I know of maybe 2 people from that time of my life going through treatment, and neither of them stuck it out, you know?
Oh,
One of them has a great life, has found whatever balance is appropriate for them as it pertains to, substances. But I think, wow, that was it, that it took the one parent that I had that cared the
yeah.
most to invest in me and every single year without fail, constantly she tells me and she celebrates that date with me and
Oh,
reminds me about, how proud she is of me and the life that, that we have.
yeah. I love that. I think that's so important. As a mother, my goal is to celebrate my kids as much as possible.
Mhm.
And so it's incredible that you get to experience that receiving end. I
Mhm.
love that so much. But yeah, I think I like what you said about midlife awakening
Mhm.
because that I don't think I've ever phrased it like that, but that's exactly what I've been experiencing over the last 5, 6 years.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's a crisis either.
Right?
Like there's a lot of internal trying to figure out which way I wanna go with it.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's not the like, if that's the biggest crisis, okay. It's just a crisis of, do I wanna try this hobby today or do I wanna try this hobby today?
Yeah.
But it's not my downfall. It's not an identity crisis. It's more of I don't even know, like, there's just I would not use crisis with it, but I love that that's the way you phrased it.
Mhm.
Because I think for so long it was, mm, I would say feared, but looked down upon this period of life,
Yeah.
and it's
Absolutely.
not a time to it can be celebrated now.
Mhm.
Like,
It
that's
absolutely can. I can definitely say that I have friends in, similar age groups that, are like, well, I just got divorced. I'm gonna go on and, celebrate this. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I'm gonna go on a cruise. I'm gonna do something, right? Because of that freedom, right? That re-embracement of themselves. And
yes.
that is absolutely it for me. I cannot tell you a time in the last 15 years that I felt this optimistic for myself, right? I have so many things to give and pour into other people, but this is mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
I love it. That gives me so many good feelings inside, and it's just I think there's so many people who do get faced with an empty nest or a change in life circumstances, and it's almost like this, like, "Oh, no, what do I do now? Woe is me. How do I" like, "I'm losing everything." But then there's the people who are like, "Oh, cool. I don't have anything to tie me down anymore. Let's see what else is out there."
Right?
And I think that's really important in how we approach it. So I
Mhm,
really like that. I think it's also important to note though, and the cards are kind of showing me this too, is just it's okay to acknowledge those emotions if they do pop up. It is
mhm,
okay to I want to say like mourn a life that or a chapter that's just passed. Like that's okay too. I do miss my kids at home. I do miss craziness of after school sports sometimes
mm,
or being able to cook for a big family or whatever it might be. And that's fine, but I don't have to live there. Like I don't have to like stay in that that sad place. I think it's important also to celebrate ourselves like you said earlier. I think that's so good. And
mm,
then the cards themselves are actually kind of pointing to that as well. They're like these very emotional cards, and then the next couple are very like the sun
mhm,
or the 10 of swords is like a new perspective, a whole new way of looking at things is how it's coming up for me. And it's almost as if the clouds are moving out from in front of the sun and you can see things clearly again. And it's everything's in full bright color and being able to just soak it up for what it is rather than trying to make it be something it's not.
mhm.
That's how
Yeah,
it's
no,
coming out.
just let it radiate over me, it's gonna it's almost like it's just more of, like, battery charging, right?
Yeah,
I already know what my day-to-day looks like, right? That the existence of opportunity and new perspectives just fuels me to get up and want to approach each day, in the best way possible and to feel excited and optimistic and
yeah,
want to encourage people and share good things and be, you know, be the biggest cheerleader for the people around me, Uh,
yeah,
I will have I said, you mentioned, like, cooking for your family. You know what? The thought of me having to cook for my 3 kids when I have a vegetarian, I have a picky-tarian, I
yes,
have a I that stresses me out to no end right now. Like, the thought
yeah.
of having to cook for everybody is absolutely foreign to me, and I will gladly not have that experience.
No, I we have a pescatarian. Thanksgiving is interesting at our house. We have a couple of kids who they'll eat whatever, like, they're
Mhm.
not picky, a pescatarian, and then Kyle and I are back on carnivore, and so we have to make sure we're touching on everyone's diet, like, making sure
Mhm.
there's food for everyone, so I totally get that. I wouldn't say it's stressful, it's just I've gotten used to just us now, so I
Mhm.
get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's see what else is popping up. A lot of growth, feeling. This is an interesting question that just popped in my head. As okay, how do I word this? Having experienced 20 years or so without a program, experiencing life, and I'm sure there was heartbreak or resentment that built up during that time. Have you found now that you're back in
Mhm.
active in AAA that
Mhm.
you've had to go back to some of those experiences and heal them? And how has
Ooh,
that been for you?
that's spot on. So, total disclaimer again, I do things May's way, and thankfully it's gotten me to where I am now. They're not ways that I would recommend. So, first and foremost, 28 years, I have never completed a set of steps
I
to
do
this
remember you
day.
saying that.
To this day. So, yes, here's the hard part, right? I think all of us have the experience of going back and taking some kind of an inventory of the things that we did wrong
Yep.
and bad when we were in active addiction. And I have to take not only that, but I have to take 20 years of bad decisions clean
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
right? I didn't do it perfect, it just in my background, I have 3 kids and they have 3 different dads. That wasn't
Yeah.
my plan, right? That's the way things happened. I wouldn't trade anything for that. But there's reasons for that. There's
Right.
reasons that I chose situations that, were not the right situation for me.
Yeah.
And I've learned and I've grown from those things. But being able to, have to look back and realize that there's a lot of even baggage that I created without using
Yeah.
because of behaviors that I learned when I was using that I didn't address. I didn't take care of them. I didn't go through those steps when I probably should have.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not going to let that rule my life. I can't change anything in the past. I can't go back and undo anything or do anything different, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
because it wouldn't be right here where I am now. But I do recognize that there's still defects, character
Oh,
defects
yeah.
and behaviors and things that I still need to work through from using time and from recovery time because
Right.
I let it just kind of sit on the side. And that's what the last few years has been re-examining. Why did I do these things? Why did I settle for men who needed to be taken care of? Because as a
Right.
mom, that was one thing I knew how to do was take care of people. And so then I found people
Huh.
that needed taking care
Yeah.
of, and
Yeah. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can imagine, I know from my own experience, having to take care of someone starts to build up resentment pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So, I can imagine that that would be, yeah, just a very unhappy situation. But, and you talked about how, like, it wasn't the plan to have 3 different
Mhm.
dads. But I look back at even my own life, my ex-husband and I recognize that the only reason we were really supposed to be together was to produce our kids. There's a lot of other stuff that happened there that I learned from, but those kids were supposed to come into the world. And had
Yeah,
I been with anyone else, they would have been not those kids. So I
exactly.
have to appreciate and I do still, like there's a certain level of respect for him there,
Mhm.
but but it's like acknowledgement and then I can release it. I can let it go.
Mhm.
There's because I was and granted I was still drinking during that time, but there was a lot of really toxic behavior from myself
Yeah,
during that time. And
absolutely.
I don't think even in recovery, whereas he's involved specifically, like my biggest struggle
Mhm.
because, that's just someone who I'm not compatible with. And
Yeah.
so it's easy for me for my defects to flare up
Oh,
when
yeah.
I have to deal with them. So, yeah, in recovery or not, we still are who we are. And it's
Mhm.
just a matter of I hate it when people say, "You don't have to take back anything you don't say." I'm like, "Well, but try telling my mouth that." Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes it just comes out.
It does. It does.
But, I love that we constantly have these opportunities to start fresh, get it off our backs, say
Mhm.
something about it to, if it's necessary. I'll be mid temper temper tantrum and recognize that I'm not behaving the way I want to behave. And I'll look at Kyle and I'm like, I'm sorry. that, that was not who I want to be in this moment. And I'm like, dang it, I'm gonna go put myself in timeout. And I
Yeah.
just like get away, clear my mind,
Mm.
and before I say anything else that I know I'm gonna take, have to take back. And I think it's more the awareness rather than the change in behavior,
Right?
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're going to do that. We're gonna, trip over our tongue and something's gonna come out and, you gotta own it, right?
Yeah.
How do you own it? You acknowledge it. And for me, that's quick. I can't tell you the feeling inside of me if something is wrong or I've done something wrong or I've made a mistake, how quickly I wanna get rid of that gut
Yeah.
wrenching horrid guilt feeling. I need to speak it out. I need to apologize. I need to make amends immediately because I hate how that makes me feel.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not who I want to be. And the people around me who, hopefully not many of them, have been subjected to that
Right.
part of me, they know that and they recognize and they're so just amazing and welcoming and supportive of understanding like, hey, I had a moment.
Yeah.
I'm human, and I am genuinely sorry.
Yeah.
And off we go. And I do that even with my kids too. The 19-year-old probably rolls his eyes at me, but
Right.
at the end of the day, he knows that I'm genuine, right?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how much our kids can forgive us for? Like,
It is truly amazing.
I
Truly.
I talk to my kids about that often, where especially when it dawns on me of like how much better I could have done had I been sober while they were being raised,
Mhm.
or even aware of my ability to get overstimulated. Like even
Mm.
if I wasn't drinking, I still just couldn't handle all the, the stimuli outside of me. And I have apologized many, many, many times to my kids, and they're like, "Mom, it's fine. Mom, it's fine." And I step back and I look at them like, "How in the world did they end up so well adjusted?
Right?
Like, how are they okay? Like, I didn't screw them up. How?" But, our kids are so forgiving, and I consider myself very lucky for that because I know not all families have that, you
Yeah.
know? And I think it says something to our ability as mothers that we did something right?
Somehow, some way,
Uh,
I get to see that with my daughter. My daughter has gone through the gamut of mental health crises since she was
mhm.
like 9 years old.
Oh,
And from 9 to 18 was the hardest time of my life.
yeah.
And trying to meet her where she was at, trying to get her outside of those thoughts and just, the ups and downs that go with that. It was deeply, deeply challenging. My daughter, the minute she left home, then just a few months became the most appreciative person
Oh,
and realizing everything that I did to try to help her and how she could never repay me or thank me enough for just sticking it out because
yeah.
she recognized that what she did and what she put me through was a lot.
Yeah.
And I just, I tell her, I go, honey, you're my daughter. I'm gonna, it doesn't matter. It could have taken me
Right.
another 10 years of that and I would have done it. Right. She didn't need that. She reached
Right.
that level of maturity and just realizing that, wow, they've got me no
Yeah.
matter what, no matter how bad I did it. I did the same thing to my mom when I was
Yeah.
her age. The same thing. My mom told me the words that she told me when I was a teenager is, "I hope you have a daughter just
Just like
like
you.
you."
Yep.
And then I cried to my mother. Some point, my daughter was like 12 or 13, and I go, "You did this to me. You told me you wanted me to
You're
have
sweet.
this experience." And I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know,
Yeah.
she lives on her own. She is fully independent. She has her moments. And what does
Yeah.
she picks up the phone and calls me every time,
Yeah.
every
Oh, I love that so much. So many people who want to, I don't want to say keep their kids close to them,
Mhm.
out of selfishness, but fear that they won't be able to launch properly into the world. And
Mhm.
I have found that when I let them make their decisions as adults and go out into the real world without hovering around them, blossomed their capabilities and their
Mhm.
personalities, and it allows for so much more, I would say, like, love and communication between us and them, to
Yeah.
let them do their own thing.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I've tried so hard to just keep my mouth shut. You're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
I might think that you should do it different, but I'm not gonna tell you that
Right?
unless someone's at the, risk of being harmed. They just need that. They just need to have their own experiences.
Yeah,
And
but
it
they get that from us, from
yeah.
how, how did we do that? How did they watch us go through similar
Yes.
things and see how we responded? What did they learned more than we realized.
Right. Yes, 100%. I look at my one of my daughters is 23, and by the time I was 23, I had all 3 kids.
Mhm.
I was married, I owned a
Mhm.
house, and she's like, "How? How did you do this?" I was like, "I don't know. I drank a lot, that's all I know."
Mhm.
Like, that was my that was my coping mechanism at the time, but I don't know how I did it, and I don't think I'll ever be able to, like, rationalize what I went through during that time. Like, you just do it. You just put
Mhm.
one foot in front of
Do
the
it.
other.
Yeah.
You wake up every day, you get things done, and it
Mhm.
was never, I can't say it wasn't a thought in my mind because 'cause I've also dealt with some very, heavy mental health issues, but of, like, I didn't have a chance to opt out, like, I still felt
Mhm.
an obligation to my kids, and there's just, I don't know, like, there was not, and the thought didn't occur to me of just leaving it all behind, and
Mhm.
I know for some people that is a
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
significant possibility, and it's just everyone's faced with different circumstances, and
Mhm.
I feel like in order to get through mine, I was equipped enough, and
Yeah.
that was really, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had pretty decent friends around the time my kids were really small, and that helped a lot too. And I think that's goes back to that fellowship thing,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
being able to just reach out when we needed to. So,
Yeah, having a tribe. Having a tribe,
yeah,
whether you're in recovery or not, that is key, do you have people that you can honestly say are committed to lifting you up, encouraging you? It's not about how many people you have, what what you can gain from them, whether it's a status or an
right,
experience, like, it is not those things, like, I am all for people who wanna share all of the great things that happen on their Instagram and all the places they go and all the things they do, but at the end of the day, I think about, do they have the right tribe? Do they have the right people
right,
supporting them when it's not just this one little moment, this one little picture of this beautiful sunset in Hawaii or whatever it is,
right.
right? Do they put their head down on the pillow at night and feel like they have their
Support.
tribe supporting them?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's crazy because I think about when I went through my divorce and we had a lot of couple friends,
Mhm.
we'd all hang out together. It was a fairly decent size of us. And as soon as the divorce started to take place, everything started to unravel. I walked away not speaking to anyone. And as far as I know, they remained friends with my ex-husband. And I don't know why that is, but I think I had just gotten to a point where I wasn't accepting fake. I wasn't accepting inauthenticity.
Yeah.
I I needed to find my tribe, not our tribe. And there's just I look back now at pictures that pop up in my memories on Facebook of that period where we were all hanging out and having a fun time. And for a long time I mourned that. And recently I've been untagging myself in a lot of those memories that pop up because I'm like, it was, to me, it was not real.
Yeah.
When shit hit the fan, they didn't stick around for me. So why am
Mhm.
I hanging on to those?
Yeah.
Why am I building up those friendships to something they were never really, you know?
Yeah. No, it was part of, like, you were this unit, and they had their little units, and when you don't match that unit anymore, right, then what? It means nothing?
Yeah, it's very conditional. on the
Yeah.
fact that you're married and you fit into this group. And
Mm,
that oh, you know what's crazy is, like, I was thinking about this the other day, is, like, when people's life situations change, it threatens the way people feel about their own situations,
mm,
whatever that happens to
yeah.
be. Whether someone, in a couple gets sick or and is facing a big illness, other people either, like, jump in and help support them or they bail.
Mhm.
Because what if I get sick? What if
Yep.
that's kinda like the mentality. Someone gets divorced, and all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, we can't hang out
It's
with a
like the
single."
plague, yeah, like, "Oh, it's
Right.
contagious?" No, well, you gotta
Right.
check yourself if you think it's contagious.
And I remember being young and married and pregnant, and I lost a lot of friends that way too
Mhm.
because well, and I get that, interests change, but, like, there could have also been very supportive people in my life, and they just chose not to. So, yeah, it's almost as if it's contagious or it's threatening to them,
Mhm.
and I think now I've created friendships that are so diverse in our own personal situations that none of that is conditional. There are a lot of people who and I'm trying to stay like, aware and conscious of it myself. If someone else's life circumstances change, am
Mhm.
I still consistent? Am I still there
Yeah,
for them? Because
that's
I've
huge.
I've been the one to sorry,
Mhm.
I'm bailing now, mostly because I'm unhappy with myself in the past.
Mhm.
But I think it's important to stay aware of that and just kind of, like, build those real support friendships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
We build a lot of community and unity in a fellowship, and
Mhm.
it's kind of looking at those situations similarly. If one of our friends and one somebody in our tribe falls, what is the first thing you wanna do? You want them to come back. You want them
Right.
to make it back. You
Yeah.
want them to feel loved and supported and, and be so appreciative that, yes, you stumbled, but you didn't die. You're still here. And you're
Right.
back. I am going to go to the ends of the earth to let you know how important you are, how I wanna be here for you, how we can
Mhm.
make that bond even stronger. And it's
Yeah.
the same way with the people that I surround myself in, whether it's in the fellowship or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. That's something new that I'm learning because I'm not a good like I said, I'm not a good in-person friend. Like, I'm just not. And I'm not a good texting or calling friend because I'll forget.
Mhm.
But I am learning how important that is, and I think that it's something that most people have to work at. There are very few
Mhm.
people that it's just natural to them, and unfortunately, Kyle is one of those people it's natural to. He's
Mhm.
really good about reaching out to people and I wouldn't say chasing them, but, like, if there is someone who is kind of fallen away from the
Mhm.
herd, he'll go and, like,
Seek
let's
'em
bring it
out.
back,
Yeah,
and he's just so good at that.
that's
There's so
awesome.
many things about him that I'm like, "Yeah, you definitely make up for my
Mm.
deficits there."
I just literally right before I, got on this call, I was scrolling on, Facebook, and it said, "There's always that person that has to clean before they relax,
Yeah,
then there's that
yeah.
person who has to relax before they clean, and then they find each other and get married."
I need you to send that to me if you can find it, send it to me because it's 100% true for us.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
I was like I said, he's home today because the storm's impending on us.
Yeah.
And I want laundry done, but
Mhm.
I know his mind is it has to get done now. We still have several hours before the storm's supposed to hit. So I'm like,
Mhm.
"Can you please just let me get this recording done?" Because the washer and dryer is right outside this door. I'm
Mhm.
like, "I will start it afterwards." Because I know he won't sit down until everything's done. And I'm
Yep.
like, we'll do our stuff. We'll get it out of the way. Everything's
Mhm.
gonna happen. I'm very much the second person. I will sit down and relax and then do my stuff
Yep. Absolute
just because that's how I am.
100%. So
So yeah, one of the last couple of cards here are really indicating that you have a lot more to offer to your community than you realize. And
mm,
like I said that at the very beginning.
mhm,
I just feel like there's so many more people you're impacting than you realize or that you know in person.
mhm,
And it's the people that I specifically see are the young moms. who
Mhm.
don't know how they're handling it, that don't know what they're doing. And whether they're in recovery or not, I think you have the ability to inspire them, show them that it can happen. Like you can
Mhm.
make a good life for yourself
Yeah.
and still have all the pressures of motherhood or whatever it is, you know. I think you have a lot to offer there.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's see what your goddess card is for the day. Where are we at? Okay. Nope, I don't want that one because it was okay. Ooh, I like this card. Kali is endings and beginnings. The old must be released so that the new can enter. And I think that is so perfect for what we've been talking about, changing of seasons in our life.
Mhm.
I think that's so important. The one time I did like some actual spiritual work with Kali was life changing for me. And it's
Really?
not normally a gentle transition. I would say sometimes it's a very fiery transition.
Ooh.
Like it burns up quick and then you're on to the next thing. But the definite like change of cycles, like it feels very certain, very distinct. And I like
Mm.
that for this conversation. And then this is the wild offering deck. And let's see what this card says. This also is appropriate. This card says loneliness. When you stop fearing your aloneness, you stop settling for less than you deserve. May I embrace and love my solitude. And that's when kindred spirits can finally come. We're talking about finding our tribe so much today.
Yes.
We have to recognize and appreciate who we are alone before we even know who we're looking for to walk alongside of us.
So it definitely speaks to that evolution because I have plenty of feedback and perspective from my tribe over the years has been, why are you settling? Why is this person good? And I keep saying, well, they're good enough, right? They're good
Right.
enough. And I've gone through the gamut of the online swipe this, swipe that. It's very, and that's probably where some of my ADD comes from. Is just, that's how I feel. Like I'm just going to swipe this way, swipe that way. Um, and it's this constant up and down. And then I finally just kind of push it away for a while. And then like in September, out of nowhere, I just is like, let's just see what happens. Right. And I have always been told, everybody I choose, you deserve better. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't imagine what better is like. You'll know it when you see it. They're going to sweep you off your feet. They're going to make you feel like you're the most important thing in the world. And I'm like, that's just like, yeah, there's some people that get that, but I don't think everybody gets that.
Right.
Right. And I did something and I tried a very like quick little free trial window and that was in September. It took 36 hours to find this person or this person to find me, I should say. And man, it has been a pretty exceptional
Experience.
few months
Yeah.
because I'm still constantly trying to like pinch myself. This person really thinks this much of me, right? What I will say is this person is in recovery as well.
Yeah.
And I have never attempted to have a relationship or pursue an interest with somebody else in recovery. And some of the coolest things and the things that we talked about today are things that I find myself sharing with him and seeing in him. He
Yeah.
is this like he's at a different part of his journey than I am.
Yeah.
And watching him evolve, I realize in ways that either I am evolving or I'm wanting to. And
Yeah.
we just keep feeding off of each other, and it
Yep.
is insane and so crazy to see some of those mirrors playing
Yes.
out in front of me, and then also he thinks I'm pretty amazing too, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh, I get it.
I couldn't ask for anything better, like, I'm optimistic not just for me, but yeah, I had to get through that, I had to get through
Yeah.
being okay with just being me and
Mhm.
getting myself to where I was in this last year and not caring and not looking to try to fill a void. You know, he lives in California. I don't, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a distance there. But that also means that I'm not going to try to jump in and make this perfect situation yet.
Yeah.
And when he leaves here, I realized I don't feel empty,
Right.
right? That was
Because
the
you're still
biggest
so full of
thing.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is full of himself. He is doing what he needs to do. He has a pursuit of his own, of what he's
Yeah.
doing, and I'm doing the same thing. I have never had that separation and still feel so good about where we both are. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. I look forward to seeing how this continues
So
to go
excited for
because
you.
it's it is just beyond, like, I couldn't picture it.
Yeah.
You have to be good with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's so cliche, and I got so tired of hearing it, and that's
I
why I
know.
pushed it. I'm like, "I don't
Yes.
wanna be alone. I can be okay with just good enough."
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You can't because it all failed every time.
Right.
It failed. So, it may not sound like or feel like something you wanna do is to get right with yourself,
Right.
but it's the truth. You know,
There
you
was
know.
there was a 10-month period or so where Kyle and I broke up, and I desperately needed that in order to really learn how to love myself.
Mhm.
And when we discussed moving back in together, I remember sitting on the floor in my bathroom crying my eyes out, and I called my sponsor. It's like, "What's going on? Is this the wrong decision for me?" And she goes, "I don't know, like, really think about it. Are you sad because you're moving in with him? Or are you sad because you're leaving behind a life that you built up on your own?" I went, "Wow." Like, I can mourn my singleness or
Mhm.
my, individual life and still be very in love, but that's because I built up a life so much on
Yeah.
my own
Yeah.
that I was, like, it was a real decision. I had to make sure I was not replacing it, but adding to.
Mhm.
And it's taken a few years to get, like, really kinda settled on I do my thing, he does his thing, but now, yeah, he grows, I grow, he grows, I grow, like, it's amazing,
If
and
anything, you have been such a huge inspiration exactly like that, right? You've put it out there that you guys have your own areas of focus, but then you also have that part where you get to do it together,
yeah.
you know? And seeing that is beyond inspiring. I
Well,
love how you celebrate him, how he celebrates you, and how you
yeah.
guys do that together. Just it's perfect. It's beautiful. It is truly
Aw.
beautiful. I love it.
Well, now I can't go be mad at him. I'm gonna have to go give him a hug.
Yeah, yeah, no, and then let him do laundry and.
Yes, I think we're gonna do a deep clean while we still have electricity, and then we can be lazy tomorrow all day. If the power goes out, we'll just lay in bed and watch movies on the laptop or something.
Yeah, add blankets, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Thank you. Okay, wait, one last question. I was gonna say thank you for coming. One last question. 20-year-old you, if you
Mm,
could go back and give her some advice, what would it be?
I don't know that I would wanna give her anything else other than, you know, you're doing it, right? One foot in front of the other, baby steps if even, crawling if you have to.
Yeah,
Every single thing is progress, right? Don't measure your, inch of movement to somebody else's, flying off to go to a
right.
different country and go explore or whatever. Do not do that to yourself. Give yourself credit for every step you take in the right direction, you know? If you
I
stumble
love
and
it.
fall, all you have to do is, start getting back up again because you're gonna get there. The thing is time is gonna push you forward anyways. The goal isn't to fight that. It's to you find your own tempo, an inch or a mile at a time.
I
You're gonna
love that.
you're gonna get there. And then absolutely find your tribe, right? And don't be afraid to let go of the ones that are holding you back. Don't compare
Yep.
yourself to other people. Don't let other people tell you you're doing something, wrong unless, you take the time to truly assess, are you doing it wrong? Like, what's your motivation for this? But know that you need people that encourage you, people that are gonna build you up and, and be your people.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm,
Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. There's some episodes, especially when I was like first starting out, like,
mhm,
man, that was rough. But as I'm getting more comfortable and also opened it up to a lot more people who really want to be on here and share their own perspective, it's becoming a lot more fun.
yeah,
And I just love our conversations anyways. I'm so blessed that you found your way into my life, and it's been a real joy getting to know you,
mhm,
but thank you for joining me on here, and I just
absolutely.
appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. I feel that it's an investment in myself. It's an
Yeah.
investment into this time of our lives. And gosh, it absolutely inspires me from deep within for, some way possible. And then the insight that I gain from this is enough for me to actually get up and maybe I'll do laundry too. I don't know.
You're too funny.